Hey there, it's CJ Willie, and I'm cracking a pack. Today is pack number 13 of my science project of cracking a 1990 Topps Cello box. Check out my preview video for the explanation on how this science project will test the theory to see if I can build a complete set from a Cello box. I've added a link to my 1990 Topps Cello box preview video in the description below. With all of the packs that I crack, I will share my thoughts and memories about some of the players' cards. After I've cracked the pack, I'm going to choose the best card of the pack. Doesn't mean it has to be a rookie, superstar, or even a Hall of Famer. It can literally be a goofy photo, something interesting about the player, or maybe some memory I had of the player from back in the day. Okay, let's get to cracking the pack. We are on the second half of the box. So we've got 12 more to go, and we'll start with pack number 13. Still looking for the, I think it's the Larry Walker rookie. I think that's probably the last chase card to be found. Okay, started off with Wade Boggs All-Star card. So Wade Boggs, pretty good hitter. I mean, I have a lot of memories of Wade Boggs back in the day. Won a World Series, didn't win a World Series championship with the Red Sox. Had the opportunity in 1986, but the Mets got that. I believe he did win a World Series championship with the 96 Yankees. I'm pretty sure he was part of that group. Bert Blyleven, Hall of Famer. So back-to-back Hall of Famers, Wade Boggs and Bert Blyleven. Blyleven had a great curveball. Spent a number of years with the Pirates, the Twins, the Indians, the Angels. He was a borderline Hall of Famer, but I think that he deserved to be in the Hall of Fame. He wasn't a guy that threw a speedy fastball. He was a curveball, and he'd get strikeouts. Mike Smith, pitcher with the Orioles, didn't have much of a career. Dale Swaim, I believe we're getting a few duplicates now. He was an infielder with the Brewers. I can't remember who he played with after the Brewers. When his playing career was done, he was a manager for a while, spent a number of years as a bench coach as well. Checklist card. So we got to see who we could get out of the Pirates or the Padres or the Giants. Oh, Cardinals down at the bottom. Joel Skinner. His father, Bob Skinner, was a Major League Baseball player. Joel was a backup catcher, bounced around for a few teams, the Yankees, Indians, and a couple others. Steve Cummings. I don't remember much about Steve Cummings. My guess is, if anything, he was a middle reliever for the Blue Jays. Brian Clutterbuck. That's a very interesting last name. He was a reliever. I don't remember much about him. Matt Williams, third baseman with the Giants. He spent a number of years with the Giants. He was part of their division-winning, National League champion 1989 Giants. He went on to play with the Diamondbacks and got a ring with the 2001 Diamondbacks. Greg Vaughn, this is one of the hot rookie cards back in the day. Todd Zill, Greg Vaughn, Eric Anthony, the future stars. These are the cards that you wanted to pull. Vaughn actually had a pretty good career. He was a power hitter, played with the Brewers, the Reds. I think he finished over 300 career home runs. Ali Hamaker, I've shared my memory with him before, giving up the grand slam to lefty-hitting Fred Lynn. Hamaker himself was a left-handed pitcher, so that makes it very interesting. And even though he was an all-star in 1983, which led to giving up the grand slam and led the league with the ERA, he really wasn't a very established or great pitcher. Chris Gwynn, brother of Tony Gwynn, bounced around as a pinch hitter, fourth outfielder, was definitely not as good as his brother Tony. Jay Buhner, the Mariners got the best part of this trade. He came up with the Yankees shipped him to the Mariners, they got Ken Phelps. Phelps didn't do much with the Yankees. Buhner went on to have a great career with the Mariners. There's our send away Topps company card, so you can send it away and get one of 6 different sets of 10 cards apiece. Vaughn Hayes was a middle of the order guy for the Phillies. Didn't hit a ton of home runs, but had a great on-base percentage, great batting average. A couple years he drove in over 100 runs. A couple years he was an all-star with them. Dennis Lamp, My memory of Dennis Lamp is his 1985 Topps card with the Blue Jays. And an interesting stat, he was 11-0 with the 1985 Blue Jays when they made a run for the World Series, but ultimately lost out to the Kansas City Royals in the American League Championship Series. Lamp started his career as a starting pitcher, but then spent the vast majority of his career as a vulture relief pitcher. I think the definition of vulture wins came around the time that Dennis Lamp went 11-0 with the Blue Jays. Ken Caminiti, great player, unfortunately got into steroids, wrecked his career, wrecked his life, and I know he passed away, and I can't remember if it was suicide or just natural passing. Mickey Hatcher, I've already talked about Mickey Hatcher. In the 1988 World Series, Kirk Gibson was injured. You can remember Gibson hobbling on the bases after hitting the home run off Eckersley. Hatcher started in his place. Look it up. Hatcher had a phenomenal World Series, was a key cog in the Dodgers winning that series. Joe Carter. Joe Carter, I think, is a borderline Hall of Famer. His career spanned kind of the end of the Jim Rice, Dwight Evans era into the steroid power hitting era. Carter had some phenomenal stats. He was a great baseball player. His batting average is probably what's going to keep him out. But he was a fantastic player. Won World Series with the 92 and 93 Blue Jays. Terry Poole came up as a starting outfielder with the Astros for a couple of years, and then later was a pinch hitter, fourth outfielder. Tommy Lasorda. In one of the previous packs, I've shared my story of being able to see Tommy Lasorda in Ogden, Utah. He used to manage the Ogden team many, many, many years ago, and then since the Ogden team was part of the Dodgers farm club, Lasorda would come back every other year and greet the fans. Fan favorite in Ogden, Utah. Jeff Reardon, closer for the Expos and the Twins. He had a lot of similar stats to Lee Smith, Bruce Sutter, Goose Gossage. Problem was his career kind of was going at the same time as Lee Smith, and he just didn't rack up as much in the way of saves or recognition. Gus Polidor, backup infielder, I think with Angels, Brewers, maybe a couple other clubs, but right here on the back you can just see Angels and Brewers. Junior Ortiz, backup catcher with the Pirates. Jeff Ballard had a pretty good career. Came out as a lefty starter, had a lot of success in his first few years. I think eventually injuries derailed the remainder of his career. Rick Sutcliffe, prospect of the Dodgers, moved from the Dodgers to the Indians, then came in a early season trade from the Indians to the Cubs in 1984, and then went 16-1 for the rest of the year with the Cubs. Ended up with an overall record of 20-5. He almost got the Cubs into the World Series in 1984. They would have been trounced by the Tigers, but the Padres surprised him in 5 games back when the National League Championship Series was in 5 games. Pete Harnisch, this is one of his early cards. He had a decent career. I think he got either close or over 100 wins. Spent most of his time Orioles, Astros, Red Sox. Tom Hankey was a closer for the Blue Jays. Also had 1 year with the Cardinals in 1985 when they were absolutely crappy and led the team in saves. He had a pretty good career as a stopper. And 2 cards left. Norm Charlton, 1/3 of the Nasty Boys. So it was Norm Charlton, Rob Dibble, and Randy Myers. All 3 of them could throw heat. And this is 1990 in Topps, which shows the 1989 season. The next year, so the 1991 Topps covers the 1990 season. The Reds won the World Series, beat the A's. And the 3-headed monster of Charlton, Dibble, and Myers played a key role in the Reds upsetting the A's in the 1990 World Series. Final card is Gary Ward. Spent a number of years as a starter with the Tigers, the Twins, I think the Rangers as well. A little bit of time with the Yankees. Had some success in his career as a starter. Anyway, so let's see what our favorite card of the pack is. Or the best card of the pack. A couple of Hall of Famers up front. But that's not the card I'm going to choose. The card I am going to choose is Brian Clutterbuck. That is a fascinating name. Don't try to say that too fast too often. You might be offending a lot of people. He just doesn't look to me like a major league player. The complexion,